Greetings and welcome back. Welcome back to my channel for another video. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to one and to all. Perhaps it is Wednesday, depending upon where you are on the globe. And as I open, please give yourselves a round of applause for making it through and to another day, because we do know that is not the case for many, and sadly and unfortunately, it is not the case for the subject of this video, and it is in reference to the missing Inkster teen, London Thomas, who was found, but she was found no longer here with us. So let us travel to Michigan. There has been a lot of issues in Michigan and all over as it relates to missing young people. This, in my opinion, really needs to have the spotlight shined just a little bit more. So here is a photo of 17-year-old London Thomas. Beautiful, beautiful young lady who was expected, and I must say again, expected to graduate and live her young life. However, those expectations were cut short, unfortunately. Now, according to reports, and again, I implore you all to always conduct your thorough, independent research on not only the stories that I report, but others as well, because we do know as humans there is a thing called human error, and not only that, details can change. Some things may be redacted or recanted. So, as I stated, missing teen London Thomas, who went missing, according to news reports, on April the 5th, 2025, where she, again, London Thomas, 17 years old, was dropped off at her 23-year-old boyfriend's house. Again, do your research. Here's a little clip here. Thomas was last seen on April 5th, when she was dropped off at her 23-year-old boyfriend's house in Inkster. Michigan State Police said she was found Saturday, which was this past Saturday evening, in Springfield near 8 Mile and Telegraph Roads. And I'm not sure, but I think, if my memory serves correctly, again, I'm an old head, but 8 Mile might be the name of the movie I think Eminem was in. I'm not sure. That's the only 8 Mile I can think of right now. And I want to say Michigan. So the next quick slide is here. Neighbors said that they watched police discover London inside of a white SUV that was parked in a neighbor's driveway. Now, those that watched said that the SUV had been parked there for 2 weeks. And when an investigator reporter went to the house that allegedly belongs to a young single mother with 3 children and knocked on the door, the response from the other side of the door was no comment. The FBI and law enforcement did a search, according to reports, of the boyfriend's house, and there are 2 suspects in custody. However, the names have not been released, and while the boyfriend is a person of interest, of course, there are no reports, at least at this time, whether or not he has been charged. Now, this is disturbing on so many levels because, number one, that this young lady and her grandmother is devastated. And you can Google this and watch the entire video. But her grandmother was devastated because she never suspected this, and I'm sure, I know most families would not. And she said she spoke to her granddaughter, London, all of the time, and that she recently said that when she got older, she was going to take care of her. Now, I've looked for other stories, and the only one I could find, and I'm sure there are others, is that the mother said that this was her worst nightmare. And most parents could never fathom of having to bury their child. They expect that their children will be the ones to bury them. So that being said, there are so many questions to be asked. Number one, how is it that a 17-year-old teen is dropped off at a 23-year man's house, which is her boyfriend? This is the picture that was posted. I cannot attest that this man is or was her boyfriend, but this is the photo that has circulated again. Cross check, cross reference, because this may not be accurate. But what is accurate is her boyfriend was 23 years old. That's a problem. That's a problem in so many of these cases that we are seeing and hearing. Just to rear off of this story real quickly, there is another case involving Jarvis Butts, who's 42 years old, who has been charged in the missing and who has been deemed unalive Nazia Harris case. And there is speculation that Nazia was impregnated by Jarvis Butts, and that could have been, and again, I'm just speculating, the reason why she may have gone missing. And unalived. His trial, jury selection is slated to begin October of this year. So again, I do not understand what this trend, this this fascination of these young men fixated on younger women, these older men fixated on younger women. And I do not want this to be received in a harsh or critical way, but families, mothers, fathers, siblings, you must know or realize that there is something inherently wrong if your teenager, your teenage girl, is being dropped off at a 23-year-old boyfriend's house to me. And again, I'm not there. I wasn't there. But the way the story reads, and from my optics, this may have been commonplace, meaning this wasn't the first time she was dropped off. Who dropped her off? Was it a friend? Was it a family member? If that's the case, then to me, again, through my optics, they see nothing wrong with that. And there's something terribly wrong. Not only that, how did this alleged white SUV end up in the driveway? Was 17-year-old London Thomas in that SUV the entire 2 weeks that the vehicle allegedly was spotted with no questions? Or did something happen to 17-year-old London Thomas? And then she was placed there. There are so many questions to ask. Again, according to neighbors, and I'm hearing and researching that Inkster really isn't a large area. So I'm sure someone saw or knew something. And let's just say she had been there no longer with us for 2 weeks. No one found anything strange, that there was no odor. And I don't mean to sound morose about this. However, things just do not add up. Again, the grandmother completely devastated. I'm not even sure if she knew about this relationship. Someone definitely in her family knew about the relationship. And this is the reporter who had a conversation with the grandmother. And as I said, you can Google the story London, Thomas London, L as in Larry, O, N as in Nancy, D as in David, O, N as in Nancy, Thomas, who has been found after 3 weeks of searching by neighbors, communities, and members of law enforcement, was finally found, unfortunately, over the weekend in a white SUV that allegedly was parked in the driveway of a home of a woman, allegedly a single mother of 3 children. And when the reporter went to that home, which you can see right here, which is behind her, depicted with the red arrow, once she knocked on the door, there was an answer from behind the door, and the answer was no comment. Of course, this is an ongoing investigation with many questions for investigators to sort through and figure out, as I mentioned, there was a search warrant carried out for the 23-year-old boyfriend. And I am just going to state that this is a picture of London with a young man. There might be a correlation that was her boyfriend. Again, I cannot attest nor deny that at this time because identities and names, at least at the time of this story, has not been released. Ladies and gentlemen, we are hearing far, far too many stories of these young girls getting involved with older men. And yes, she was 17 and her boyfriend 23. Some people may say, well, that's not much of a difference. It really is. And as parents, I feel as though you most certainly need to be involved in your children's lives. My God, she was just about to graduate, and that is almost synonymous with all of these stories. The Nazir Harris case, she was just getting off of her school bus and went missing. I'm sorry, seem I do not want to seem sinister or in the mode of criticizing because I'm not. But at 17, number one, I wasn't into boys. I was scared of boys at the age of 17, believe it or not. I was extremely shy and in a way, and I think a lot of people, when I've gone live, and I'm still a bit shy when it comes to certain things. Not 100%, but I'm still a little bit shy. I was a late bloomer. These young girls now, and some boys too, and that's another subject, but these young girls, you have to set boundaries. You should know everything, especially if they're under your roof. What is going on? What do you know about these people? There's another heartbreaking story, and I will do an update on that later. But it was the same thing, the age difference, and she was met with an untimely demise. She and her children, and this man decided to unalive himself. So you have several people affected by that case. You have several people affected by this case in so many cities, many of them smaller cities. So many young girls are going missing. Some perhaps exploited, some maybe even a part of, I'll just say, African with the letter T in front of that. We don't know. We can only speculate, but what we do know is beautiful 17-year-old London Thomas is no longer with us, and she was dropped off at her 23-year-old boyfriend's house on April the 5th and was just found over the weekend, 3 weeks later. And her phone pinged at this location, and she was found inside of a white SUV, an SUV that neighbors claim that had been parked there for 2 weeks. a lot of questions that I'm not even going to ask on this broadcast. I think we all have, well, those of us that have eyes to see and ears to hear, those who are critical thinkers, realize that there's more to the story, things that are not being told, and again, questioning the family dynamic. It's always sad to see anyone grieving, but that begs to ask the question, could this tragedy, along with all of the other tragedies, have been prevented with communication, with knowing the acquaintances, the friends of your daughters, your granddaughters, your friends, your communities? They say if you see something, say something. Unfortunately, it took 3 weeks before the missing teen was found. And unfortunately, despite prayers, she was found, but unalived. May London Thomas find justice. May the family of London Thomas find justice, along with the other families and the other London Thomases that we may not hear about in mainstream media. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for those that have continued to engage since early on, and those that are new to this channel. Thank you so much for your comments and letting me know that you appreciate the stories that I have covered, whether it be in a comment or an email. You all are appreciated. So, with that, everyone, please, please be safe, be well, and you know the rest. Be healthier. Until next video, bye bye for now.